today's session. Warm welcome because this is a summer season. Uh, so what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about leadership styles. Now, why is it important for you? You must have completed graduation. You're looking for getting into your next level of education, which could be your MBA, or some of you're planning to get into your job. So why is this session relevant at this time? And I would want to tell you guys that if we can't bend a plant, it's going to be extremely tough for us to bend as a tree. So the sooner we learn the leadership styles, it's going to be a lot more relevant, a lot more easier than we doing it after a very, very long time. What I have seen, and I've worked in corporates for 15 years, I have worked as a leader, managing teams for 13 plus years. So I'm going to share all my experience as to how can we be a great leader. But what I've seen normally is we Indians consider leadership to be extremely bossy. We would try to boss around with people who are around us. We would want to show our superiority with the people who are under us. So that is what we consider leadership to be. But unfortunately, that's not the case. I'll tell you where it comes from. My whole understanding is this. We have been ruled for centuries. The Britishers have ruled us, so they were always superior to us, and the way they treated the Indians were something which is demeaning. They put the subordinates image, they were tarnishing the image of the subordinates. They were extremely rude, they were very brash. And unfortunate for us, we have inculcated those kind of behavior in today's culture. We Indians have incorporated that as a leadership style, and we treat our subordinates, our peers, in a very demeaning manner. We consider ourselves to be bosses, right? And that is something that I would want to change. I would want to let you know that that's not the style of leadership. It's best that you incorporate the right set of leadership now, and if you would want to try and do that after 3, 4, 5 years, then it's going to be extremely difficult. So this is the ideal time. Right? So we're going to talk a little bit about leadership styles. We're also going to talk about a few of the attributes that a leadership has. In tomorrow's session, we're also going to talk about how do we delegate tasks, how do we change, what is this ideal style of leadership? Is there an ideal style of leadership? If so, what can we, or if we need to move from one style of leadership to another, how do we move? Is it a different stroke for different folk, or all sides fits everyone? So that is something that we're going to understand in today's session. So a quick introduction about myself. I'm Nitin Prabhakar. So like I said, I have 15 years of corporate experience, and I'm going to share all those experiences with each one of you. If there's any questions in the meanwhile, please do feel free to ask me. I'll be more than willing to make it as a very interactive session rather than just a PVD session. So keep shooting questions at me, and let's make it interactive. Please use my referral code for the Plus program, which is out here, which is NITINPKAR-4915. The advantage here is that when you join a Plus program, you will have access to a lot of courses, and you would, apart from the courses that you're listening to right now, and you will also be eligible for a 10% discount. Alright? So, with that, let's get started. Quickly, what's the definition of a leader? If you go to Google, look for styles of leadership, you'll find hundreds of definitions of a leadership. I have a very simple definition. This is my own version of the definition of a leader. This is what it says: is the art of getting things done. It's not us doing, it is getting things done from the team. That is leadership. But what is one commonality that each one of us would have is a common vision. We all would work towards a common goal, and that is the common aspect that each one of us in the team would have. And the moment you give a task to somebody, they should like it. They should say that, I would love to do it. Or the way they look up to you, it should be in a manner that I would want to do this work for you. And that is when you would be a great leader. There are times that my bosses have given me work and I'm like, oh gosh, I don't want to do this. Oh my God, I don't want to work for them. The moment your team starts feeling that for you, your job as a leader is incomplete, because you would not be able to get the best out of your team. So it's the art of getting things done in the best possible manner from your team, and all of you have a common vision. Qualities of a leader. Now, in my training, when I ask about this particular point, I get roughly around 20 different qualities. Now, anything which is a positive connotation, any word that has a positive connotation will be associated with the leader. Talk about good time management, talk about good communication skills, talk about trust, talk about integrity, talk about getting things done, talk about time management, talk about anything. Any positive quality is expected out of a leader. Anything and everything is expected out of a leader. So the qualities are multiple in number, and thereby I'm not going to talk about just one thing that a leader is required to do. Well, according to me, if I have to rate the top 5 qualities that a leader should have, I'm going to cover that in today's session if time permits. If not, I'm going to cover that in tomorrow's session. So that is going to be more of a storytelling, because for me, I'm going to explain to you all the stories that I have learned as a leader, or I have seen others doing as a leader. So those are things that I want to share. It's extremely important for you to learn the art of leadership now. If you don't want to do that now, if you say that I'm going to become a leader, and leader is basically not a designation. But a lot of people think the moment I start getting people to report to me, then I'm a leader, which is absolutely incorrect. So if you think that I'm going to start learning the art of leadership when I get a team, that's going to be too late. It is told that the moment you are ready to lead, ready with your competencies, opportunities will knock you down. So the moment you are ready with the competency of being a leader, you will start getting teams. It's not the vice versa. Right? Unfortunately, if it's the vice versa, then you will not be a great leader. If your team is given to you, and then if you say that I'm going to learn how to manage team, that's going to be too late. So what is that we are going to do now is talk about the different styles of leadership, and let's see what style of leadership can be used when. The number one is autocratic or authoritative leadership. Now this is the leadership which we Indians are very commonly known for. Unfortunate, but not my preferred style of leadership, but we can use it at times. Now what is authoritative or autocratic style of leadership? Now this is a style of leadership which is used when somebody is domineering, somebody is, there is a possibility of people condescending, speak to the others in a condescending manner, which means to say in a demeaning manner, putting others down. They tell what they want to say without even caring how you feel. Say for example, I want a work to be done, and what I would say is, look here, I want this to be done by 5 o'clock, I don't care what you do. Say for example, you are 5 of you working on a particular project in your college, and if you have to tell the other individual that I don't care, the 4 of you, I want this to be done now, I don't care if you don't want to go home, so be it, but by the end of today, I want this to be done. So that is basically an attitude of an authoritative leadership, which is my way or the highway. I don't want to listen to you. It's all about me. So that becomes an authoritative style of leadership. Is it the most preferred style of leadership? Not really. The disadvantages are people will still work for you guys. If you are an autocratic or an authoritative leader, people will still work for you, but they will work for you because they are scared of you. They are really finicky. They are worried where you're going to scream, you're going to yell at them, but they would not really want to work for you. The difference is, the moment they're scared and they work for you because they're scared of you, the quality, the performance is low. But the day they want to work for you, the day they want to see you as a leader, the day that they want to see you as being successful, that's the day things are going to change. They will be the highest productivity that you can ever see. Now, if you're an autocratic leader, people don't like you. If you're an autocratic leader, there's going to be a lot of attrition, there's going to be a lot of absenteeism, they don't want to come to work, and then they're going to take leaves. The satisfaction levels is going to be low, and basically these are things that will create a very negative atmosphere within the team. However, there's one particular moment that you need to step in and become an autocratic leader. When is that? That is typically when you have a time-bound activity. you need to, you're working on a particular project. Let's say you've gone for an inter-college fest, and you're four of you who are working towards it. You know the absolute, this case study that you're working on, and you absolutely understand the case study. You have shortage of time, and that's the moment you would take up the leadership role and say, you do this, you do this, you do this, let me do this, let's try and complete it within the next 20 minutes. This is the task. So you take the complete authority. When there's pressure, when there's time bound, when there's, the act is critical, we use authoritative leader or an autocratic leader. I'll just give you an example of one such case where I was working in this company which is in Bangalore, on Lal Bagh Road. Our building, our office building caught fire, which is on the first, second and third floor, caught fire. Fortunately, it was the night time and there were around 5 people working in the night. They all came out and there was no casualties, luckily. What happened was, I went there, I was heading the HR, there were 1,500 employees in that site, but like I said, it was the night time, so nobody was working. I went there, the center head came there, who was the COO, which is Chief Operating Officer. There were 7 of us as senior managers, all of us went there. Now, what style of leadership style should my boss, which is the CO, adopt? It should be an authoritative leadership. It can't be anything else. He had to take a call. He had to say, you do this, Nitin, you do this, so. He assigned tasks to each one of us and then he was telling us what to do. It was not a great time to use any other style of leadership. So that's authoritative style of leadership. The second one is bureaucratic style of leadership. Now what's bureaucratic style of leadership? Bureaucratic style of leadership is the style of leadership where you go by the books. By the books, that means to say, if you have to do task 1 and then task 2, then task 3, you would do that. You would not really surpass that and you just go by the flow. And these are all the people who are very methodical by nature. I'm so sorry, I'm just getting these messages right now. Ranju, hi. Asim Riaz, authoritative, democratic, laissez-faire. Yes, these are all the style of leadership, Ranju, so you must have gone through these sessions. Sorry for the late response. I just got a bulk messages right now. So I guess you have already you've kind of understood or read through the different styles of leadership. What I'll also cover is, Ranju, talk about when do we use what style of leadership and share a little bit of experience of mine. A bureaucratic style, I was talking about these styles where people say that I am just going to go by the books. If you go and ask me to deviate, I'll say, no, I'm so sorry. I am somebody who believes doing step 1, then a step 2, step 3. If you ask me to skip step 2, I'll say, no, that's not the same. Well, the disadvantage of this style of leadership is these people would not budge, these people are not flexible, they would just do it one way. However, the advantage of this style is these people are very, they look at perfection, they look at excellence. These people go by the books and thereby you can trust them. Ideally, jobs which have high risk, say for example you're working in an airport, you need somebody who's bureaucratic. You're working in a quality department, you need somebody who's bureaucratic, right? So something which has a high weightage, high risk, critical jobs, you need to move yourself into bureaucratic style of leadership and shift from being an authoritative to bureaucratic at that particular point of time. All right. So if you're looking at it, you are just not being authoritative all the time. You're just not bureaucratic. So you're switching as per the need, as per the requirement. Right. Then the next one is democratic style of leadership, or it is also called as a participative style of leadership. Now, what does it mean? Now, this is a style of leadership where they would get everybody together. They are the people-friendly leaders. Now, I have a particular challenge at hand, I have a particular issue at hand. What I would do is I'll get the entire team together and say, hey, guys, this is the challenge that we have at hand. How do we solve it? Can each one of you give your thoughts, your ideas? Now, what everybody would do is think through and then share ideas with me. And if I like one of the ideas, I'm going to take that idea and say, thank you so much. So what happens to the rest of them? Everybody would think that they have contributed So voice is not clear, is it? Harsh, is it any better now? I hope it's audible. I just got the microphone closer to me. Oh, perfect. Okay, I think it's a microphone stuff. Okay, so I was saying bureaucratic style of leadership is participatory leadership. I am predominantly a bureaucratic leader, so there's an issue. I ask everybody for their idea, take their idea. So when I do this, what happens is, they would feel that they have contributed to the particular issue, and I have taken their suggestion, and thereby, when a team is working towards a particular problem, there's a lot more involvement from everybody. These are the people who are more people oriented, so they're nice to people, they talk very nicely with them, they treat everybody with respect, and thereby democratic style of leadership is the most preferred style of leadership. My recommendation to all of you is, check what kind of a leader are you when you interact with your friends, with your colleagues. What kind of a leader are you? Ask yourself this question. Or what you could do is check with 2 or 3 of your close friends, what kind of leader are you? You might want to explain the different styles and ask them, what kind of leader are you? So you will understand from your own perspective when you answer it yourself, and you'll also understand from your 3-4 good friends, what do they think about you? My recommendation is, operate out of democratic zone as much as possible. Be a democratic leader as much as possible. But when there is a critical decision making that is required, become an authoritative leader. When you need to be a quality oriented person, become a bureaucratic. But most often than not, operate from a democratic style of leadership as much as possible. All right. The next one is the laissez-faire. Laissez-faire is basically a French word that basically says let it be. These are bosses who would say, give a particular task, and then they will forget about it. It is for you to complete it. I had one such boss in the year 2013 to 2017. I was working in this particular company for roughly 4.5 years. I had this boss who used to give work and completely forget about it. And whenever he was asked about the task from somebody, and then that's when he used to call up and say, hey, what happened? I used to say, done or not done, whatever it be, I used to give the status update. Now the beauty about this particular thing was, I had the complete freedom, because when a task was given to me, I had the complete freedom to complete it, and there were times that I did not complete it. So there are advantages and disadvantages. You would be a laissez-faire. When you're working on a particular project, there are 5 of you who are working on it, you would be a laissez-faire boss or a leader only if you think that your team is very, very competent, and they are also very passionate about doing that particular job. If you think they are very skilled and they also are very passionate about doing that particular task, only then would you be a laissez-faire job. So let's assume that Harsh or Ranju, in case if you're very, very competent, you're good at what you're doing, but your boss comes in, or your leader keeps coming and asking you, is it done? You told me you're going to give it by 3 o'clock. How much are you done? Is it 50% done? Is it 25% done? When are you going to give it? Is everything okay? What happens? You would not like it. You would feel very claustrophobic. You would feel very uncomfortable answering these questions time and again. So not the best style of leadership if you're poking the nose of the people who are competent. If you see competent people, just be a laissez-faire boss. All right. The next one is charismatic leaders. Charismatic leaders are all those people who just go there. When they talk, you would just listen, because they carry a lot of it's an aura. When they come there, everybody just looks up to them. I had this one particular boss who used to, there was a client meet basically. We all looked up to our boss, and our boss was a very charismatic leader. Now, he was not a part of that meeting yet. So the clients were discussing, and we were making the presentation. So the client's body language was this: they were sitting like this, and then they were listening, all right, and then they were asking questions, tough questions, and all the stuff. My boss walks in, and then he starts making the presentation. The moment he starts speaking, all the clients who had this kind of a body language, suddenly they were straight. They were listening up. It seemed like my boss was the client and the clients were the customers or the vendors. So that's the kind of aura a charismatic leader would get in. So charismatic leaders are all the people who people look up to. Now the advantage here is when a charismatic leader wants to do a particular thing, everybody would just follow them, right? This person goes and says, let's all get together and do this particular activity, everyone would work towards it. About charismatic leader, is it innate or acquired? Harsh, what happens is in the first 7 years, as per transactional analysis, whatever that we are today, to a large extent, is something that we have acquired in the first 7 years of our life. From the year that we are born till 7 years, we would have looked at people, idealized them, and from them, the moment we look at somebody as a role model, we start imbibing those behaviors. So that is the behavior that we normally start off with. However, there's a high possibility for us to change ourselves with a conscious effort. For example, I was a very, very shy individual. I was not somebody who would go up, talk to people, and I was not a very interactive kind of a guy. I was more of an introvert. Suddenly, my MBA changed my whole life. I changed from an introvert to an extrovert because that was a conscious effort. Now, I started looking up to one of my lecturer who was a great leader, who was charismatic by nature. I wanted to be like him, so I started making presentation. I started being socializing, become more socializing. So I changed as an individual at that particular point of time. So is it by birth? They say most people, the leadership quality is not basically by birth. It's the first 7 years is where we imbibe it, and thereafter we are going to live by it, live through the same style until unless somebody looks up to some other role model and would want to change. Like I was saying, I did not change from the beginning till my 21 years of age. At the age of 21 is when I realized, hey, I would want to change my style as an individual, and that is when I made a change, having a role model in my mind. So it is possible for us to change. It is predominantly acquired through seeing somebody and then through practice is what I would want to say, Harsh. There's a beautiful concept called as transaction analysis. If at all, if you get a chance at any point of time, go through this particular course. It talks about how we learn behaviors, how behaviors are inculcated within us. I hope that answers your question, Harsh. In fact, this is a topic of debate in most of our group discussions. This is one of the topic is leadership. Are leaders born or made? I believe that leaders are not born, but they are made. They learn leadership qualities. They experiment, and that's how they learn few qualities, right? All right. I hope I've answered that question, Harsh. Do throw in questions if there's any other questions. Now I was talking about so this particular boss of mine who was absolutely charismatic. You can also think of several other charismatic leaders, the political leaders who go there and then they talk. Everybody listens to them. The disadvantage is people just go blindly believing in them so much that they completely consider them as an idol. And if this charismatic leader quits the company, everybody quits. If the charismatic leader tells everybody to do something which is not just, if you are a complete follower of this individual, that you may not follow, you may end up following the things that are not right to do. So you've got to be a little cautious when you're idealizing a charismatic leader. Himanshu, hi, I hope you're doing good. Long time. I'm studying these topics in my organizational behavior subject. Absolutely, Harsh. So today what I'm doing is covering the basics of leadership, Harsh. Tomorrow I'm going to talk a little more about leadership, a little more in depth. There's a phenomenal book called as 1 Minute Manager, 1 Minute Manager in bracket leadership, because there are several 1 minute managers. Read the book 1 Minute Manager to understand a lot more about leadership styles. I'm going to cover the 1 Minute Manager tomorrow, and I'll also talk about the 5 most important qualities that I find as the most important thing in a leader.
I'm going to talk about each one of it with stories, my own stories or somebody's stories, and then tell you how it is relevant for each one of us and how should we be with regards to leadership. Why is it important, right? Yes, Himanshu, I am a plus educator on Unacademy. There are roughly around 15 courses that I've done so far. And starting, I think 18th, I have sessions regularly lined up at 7:30 p.m. So please do join me there. It's going to be nice to have an interactive session, right? All right. In the meanwhile, let me move on to the next one. Charismatic leader. The next one is transactional leaders. Each one of us are transactional leaders, including each one of you. What's the definition of transactional leader? Transactional leader is somebody who is more of a transaction. You do this, you get a carrot. You don't do this, you get punished. It's the stick and carrot approach. So normally in an organization, what happens is you do a good job, you get bonus. If you don't do a good job, you will be put on a corrective action plan, which is also called as CAP, or performance improvement plan, which is PIP is what they say, which is you are put under notice, you're going to be observed. So that's more of a transactional leader. All right, Himanshu. Harsh, you said something, please go ahead. Transaction leader, if you are just a transaction leader, people will not look up to you. Please ensure that when in transaction leadership, there's no human touch. It's more of give and take. You do this, you get that, and you don't do it, you don't get it. So thereby it's more of a give and take. People don't really look up to you because it's more transactional by nature. So use transactional leadership, but don't just stay in that zone. Like I said, be more of a democratic leader. Servant leadership, we don't really use this these days. Servant leadership, Mother Teresa was a great example of servant leadership. It's more about thinking about others, doing things for others, caring about others. It's more of unconditional style of leadership. You do whatever you want to, but I will give my best to you. That's the kind of leadership a servant leadership would look at. The last one is transformation leadership. Transformation leaders are predominantly charismatic leaders because they would want to transform a particular organization. My organization is going through a little bit of ruffles. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hire a transformation leader, and that particular person would come and make those changes. Now the country is not going through a good shape. You have a transformational leader who will come and make those changes for the country. So they are somebody who are charismatic because they would want to get their work done, but their predominant agenda is to change the course of action from a loss making to a profit making, from a bad to a good. So basically they are in charge of changing things. That's the role of a transformational leaders. All right, so these are the different styles of leadership. Once again, it's most important that you operate out of democratic style of leadership and keep switching to different styles of leadership based on the need. Authoritative, whenever there is critical requirement, move into an authoritative zone. Bureaucratic leadership, whenever you need to be very methodical, become a bureaucratic leader. Democratic, like I said, is more participative, more inclusive by nature. Laissez-faire, when you think your team is very competent, become a laissez-faire. Don't really disturb them, don't really bother them. Charismatic, be a charismatic leader is great because people will look up to you, be a role model. Transactional leader, just don't be a transactional leader. It's important for you to be transactional at all point of time because you got to appreciate people who does a good job. Servant leader is somebody who would care about people. That's also very important. Transformation, whenever there's a transformation, please become a transformation leader so that you see the changes. Your team is not doing good, you got to be a transformation leader. You got to show them the vision, show them the goal, and then move from not a team player to a team playing team. Now Harsh has a question. What's the difference between transactional and charismatic? There's a huge difference, Harsh. Transactional leader, I don't necessarily have to be a charismatic leader in order to be a transactional leader. Now transactional leader is, Harsh, we are all working on a particular project. Let's assume that we are all working in the same, we are all studying in the same college, and we are working on a particular project. And in this particular project, if I tell you, Harsh, the five of us are a part of the team, and the one who does maximum sale, we have developed a product, and if the one who sells maximum product is the one who is going to get maximum bonus, and the one who is going to do zero sales will be penalized, will not be a part of this team. What am I doing? I am being extremely transactional by nature. If you do this, Harsh, we are all going to do, we are all going to be benefited. But the one who is not going to do this will be out of this project. So it's a give and take. That is transactional by nature. However, charismatic is somebody who is, I don't want to get politics here, so I don't want to give a politic. Shah Rukh Khan, for example. Shah Rukh Khan is somebody who's a good orator. When he goes there and when he speaks, what happens? Everybody looks up to him, right? Wrong example. Hitler is a great example of authoritative leader, but he was also charismatic by nature. When Hitler spoke, everybody just listened. When Hitler used to walk, everybody just used to know that that's Hitler. This used to happen. I just gave you this example of one of my boss, where when it spoke, the clients who were having this kind of a relaxed body posture, they used to just listen to him because he was so charismatic. When my boss used to just walk behind, I knew that somebody who was powerful was walking. Martin Luther King was a charismatic leader, absolutely. So that is the difference between being charismatic by nature and transactional by nature. Normally, if you are considered to be a transactional leader, you may not really have a charismatic leadership quality. So use transactional leader, but just don't be a transactional leader is what I'm saying. I hope I answered this question. The employee may adopt illegal means to sell if there is an order from a transactional leader. Am I right, sir? Himanshu, if the employee adopts illegal means, I would still catch hold of the employee, because each one of us are leaders. Each one of us are leaders. I could, I don't need to have a team in order to be a leader. So if somebody has low integrity, then I would still hold the employee accountable. But what I'm trying to say is, Himanshu, you're kind of right by saying that the employee may not really look up to the leader as a leader, and thereby use means which may not be the best possible means in order to get the solution, because they don't look up to the leader as somebody that they like, somebody that they care, somebody that they are concerned about. I have worked with transactional leaders. In my last company, I just worked for 6 months in that organization, because that individual, the person that I was working with, by hook or crook, they would just want to do it by hook or. So this particular boss of mine was authoritative leader and a transactional leader, and eventually I was just able to sustain there for 6 months in that company because I was suffocated. So I come with 15 years of experience in the human resources field. I was heading this human resources in this previous company when I quit, where my boss was the CEO of the company. I could not work with him because of his authoritative and a transactional leader. All he spoke was, Nitin, do this. Nitin, if you do this, you'll get that. That's about it. So there was no human element per se. So I was finally doing it, but not the illegal way, but I used to do it, but not really from the heart. Perfect. So guys, there are a lot more things that I would want to cover, but I will do that in tomorrow's session. Like I said, I'm going to cover that as part of 1 Minute Manager, and the 5 most important things according to me which is required to be a great leader. That's something that I'm going to do. Any questions, Himanshu, Harsh, Ranju? So Himanshu, I'm guessing you're laughing because of my experience, my last organization experience. Oh well, it was dreadful for me. It was very difficult for me. 6 months, and then actually in 2 months I wanted to quit, but I somehow stretched, and in 6 months I said, okay, thank you, tata, bye-bye, and then I quit. So if you have an authoritative boss, all the best. But my whole request to you guys is, don't be an authoritative leader. Use it only when required, but not a great thing to great leadership style to have. So please don't be an authoritative leader, right? All right, any other questions? How do you deal with office politics? Hey Chanak, I didn't see you live. Thanks so much, Chanak. Himanshu, how do you deal with office politics? By just staying away. By just staying away. There is going to be politics around. One thing that I've always done, Himanshu, is when there are team gossips, I would never encourage people to gossip. I would used to change the conversation. But if there were somebody who was insisting on having those gossips, I never used to be a part of it. Being fair, being just a nice human being will help you come out of the political environment. You just be a nice individual. Everything else, you really don't have much of control. If somebody is gossiping, you don't really have too much of control. Let them do what they want to, and I used to stay away from it. So that's my policy. Alrighty, thank you, Harsh. Thanks, Himanshu. Thank you, Himanshu. All right, so let's catch up tomorrow. Thank you guys for being there. Thank you guys for contributing. Thank you guys for making this a very interactive session. I would love these sessions to be interactive, and we'll see you tomorrow. Hey Kundan, not a problem. It's a recorded version. You can always go back and look at it. Tomorrow, the session is going to start at 6:30. It's not at 7, so 6:30. So please be a part of the session tomorrow because it's going to be very interesting. Which we are going to talk about 1 Minute Manager, a book that I really, really love to read. ऑफलाइन भी रहेंगे कुंदन, ये रिकॉर्डेड वर्जन है, यू कैन गो बैक एंड टेक अ लुक एट इट. All right, all the best to you too, Harsh. Kundan, have a great evening and take care of yourself. Himanshu, Chanak, bye. See ya. Referral code is Nitin PKR. Well, let me quickly show that to you. It's up here. That's my referral code, guys. Nitin PKR hyphen 4915. Please use my referral code in order to get a 10% discount. You can use any of the educators, but if possible, use mine. That would be great. All right. Sir Chunk has a query. Chunk. Sir, is there any referral code of you? Oh, sorry, Chanak. I am seeing that right now. I missed your query. I put my referral code down below. Right. All right, people. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening. I'm signing out. Take care.